China's history is long, and certainly not peaceful. Before China was the powerhouse it is today, kingdoms clashed, dynasties crumbled, and emperors rose from battlefields soaked in blood. These wars didn't all unify China, some nearly tore it apart, from the mass slaughter at Changping to the fiery stand at Red Cliffs, from rebels who toppled empires to Mongols who besieged cities for years. Let's take a look at the battles that didn't just shape borders, but shaped history, culture, and the very identity of a civilization that would outlast them all. In 260 BCE, during the height of the Warring States period, two titans clashed. The powerful Qin state and its rival Zhao. The battlefield was Changping, in present-day Shanxi province, a place that would become synonymous with mass death. The Qin were led by General Bai Qi, a ruthless but brilliant strategist, known as the Human Butcher, for good reason. The Zhao, initially under General Lian Po, adopted a defensive posture, building fortifications to wear the Qin down. But Qin used political subterfuge. They spread rumors that Lian Po was incompetent, and the Zhao king foolishly replaced him with a less experienced commander. Zhao Kuo, the son of a famous general, but with little real combat experience. That decision was catastrophic. Bai Qi set a deadly trap, feigning retreat and luring the Zhao deep into Qin territory. The Zhao army, reportedly over 400,000 strong, was surrounded, starved, and cut off from supplies. After 46 days, they surrendered. What followed was one of the worst atrocities in Chinese military history. General Bai Qi ordered the mass execution of all Zhao prisoners, over 400,000 soldiers buried alive or slaughtered, their bodies stacked in trenches. This massacre wasn't just vengeance, it was psychological warfare. It shocked the other states and showcased Qin's willingness to do whatever it took to dominate. The Battle of Changping decisively weakened Zhao and paved the way for Qin's eventual conquest of the remaining 6 kingdoms, leading to the unification of China under Qin Shi Huang in 221 BCE. Fast forward to 206 BCE. The Qin dynasty, though victorious in war, collapsed just 15 years after unification, toppled by revolts and the cruelty of its legalist rule. From its ashes rose 2 rivals. Xiangyang, a noble-born general of the powerful Chu state, and Liu Bang, a former peasant and police officer from Han. Xiangyang was a warrior of legend, charismatic, brutal, and feared. He crushed Qin forces at the Battle of Julu in 207 BCE, and even captured the last Qin emperor, Xiangyang, forcing his suicide. Liu Bang, meanwhile, was calculating, patient, and skilled in diplomacy. He entered the Qin capital, Xiangyang, first and declared himself king of Han, though nominally under Xiangyu's authority. But peace didn't last. Their alliance crumbled into the Chu-Han Contention, a 4-year civil war that ripped through central China. The final blow came at the Battle of Gaixia in 202 BCE in modern-day Anhui. Liu Bang's generals, including the cunning Han Xian, used encirclement and psychological warfare. They surrounded Xiangyu's forces and demoralized them by having Chu songs sung outside the camp, making his men believe their homeland had already fallen. Xiangyu, trapped and broken, committed suicide beside the Wu River. Liu Bang emerged victorious and declared himself Emperor Gaozu of Han. Thus began the Han Dynasty, one of the most influential in Chinese history, lasting over 4 centuries and shaping Chinese identity for generations to come. By the end of the 2nd century CE, the once mighty Han Dynasty was crumbling under corruption and warlordism. Central authority had fractured, and 3 major contenders emerged. Cao Cao, who controlled the north, Sun Quan, who ruled the southeast, and Liu Bei, a distant relative of the Han imperial family seeking to restore legitimacy. In 208 CE, Cao Cao led a massive army, possibly over 200,000 troops, southward, aiming to conquer the Yangtze region and unify China under his rule. To stop him, Sun Quan and Liu Bei formed a desperate alliance, despite previous rivalries. The decisive confrontation came at Red Cliffs, Chibi, on the Yangtze River, near present-day Hubei province. The southern forces, led by Zhou Yu, Sun Quan's chief commander, and Lu Su, faced overwhelming odds, but they had geography and ingenuity on their side. The turning point: fire ships. Taking advantage of the Northern Army's unfamiliarity with naval warfare and the fact that Cao Cao had chained his ships together, the Allied forces sent burning vessels directly into the fleet, turning the Yangtze into a river of fire. Chaos erupted. Northern forces panicked, and Cao Cao's army suffered massive losses due to fire, disease, and desertion during their retreat along the swampy terrain. The Battle of Red Cliffs not only halted Cao Cao's invasion, it preserved the division of China, leading to the Three Kingdoms period, Wei, Shu, Wu, one of the most romanticized and studied eras in Chinese history. While the Tang Dynasty is often remembered as a golden age of Chinese culture and poetry, it was nearly destroyed by one of the deadliest conflicts in human history, the An Lushan Rebellion. In 755 CE, An Lushan, a powerful and well-connected general of Sogdian and Turkic descent, turned against the court. Despite being adopted by Yang Guifei, the beloved consort of Emperor Xuanzong, An Lushan felt threatened by court politics, especially by Chancellor Yang Guozhong, Yang Guifei's cousin. An Lushan raised an army of around 150,000 troops and declared himself emperor of a new state, the Han Dynasty. His forces captured Luoyang and later Chang'an, forcing Emperor Xuanzong to flee to Sichuan. What followed was nearly 8 years of chaos. The rebellion sparked secondary uprisings, banditry, famine, and massive destruction across northern China. The death toll is estimated by some modern scholars to be as high as 25 to 30 million people, a staggering number, possibly over 1/6 of the world's population at the time. Eventually, Tang forces, with the help of Uyghur mercenaries, recaptured Chang'an, and An Lushan was assassinated by his own son in 757 CE. But the damage was done. The Tang dynasty never fully recovered. The imperial court's power waned, and regional warlords, Jiedushi, gained more autonomy, setting the stage for further fragmentation and the eventual fall of Tang in the early 10th century. By the mid-13th century, the unstoppable force of the Mongol Empire had conquered most of Eurasia, but one major holdout remained: the Southern Song dynasty of China. The key to breaking their resistance lay in one city, Xiangyang, a heavily fortified stronghold on the Han River, in modern-day Hubei province. In 1268, under the orders of Kublai Khan, the Mongols began what would become a 5-year siege, one of the longest in Chinese history. The Song defenders, led by commanders Lu Wenhuan and Fan Wenhu, put up fierce resistance using counter-siege weapons and the natural defenses of the city. But Kublai Khan had a secret weapon: foreign military expertise. He enlisted Persian and Arab Muslim engineers such as Ismail and Al-Afdal, who introduced advanced counterweight trebuchets, possibly developed from Middle Eastern or Byzantine designs. These massive machines could hurl heavy projectiles, including early gunpowder bombs, far beyond the reach of traditional Chinese defenses. By 1273, the Mongol army had built a full blockade, cutting off food and reinforcements. Facing starvation and relentless bombardment, Xiangyang finally surrendered. The fall of Xiangyang was a turning point. It shattered the Song's defensive line and allowed Kublai's forces to sweep southward. Just 6 years later, in 1279, the Song dynasty fell completely after the Battle of Yamen, and China was unified under the Yuan dynasty, the first time it was ruled by a non-Han emperor. In 1644, the Ming dynasty was in its death throes, weakened by famine, corruption, and a crumbling bureaucracy. Into this chaos stepped Li Zicheng, a former postal worker turned rebel leader who declared himself ruler of a new Shun dynasty and marched on Beijing. The capital fell with shocking speed. The last Ming emperor, Chongzhen, hanged himself on a hill behind the Forbidden City. But one man still held power in the north. General Wu Sangui, commander of the Ming garrison at Shanhai Pass, a strategic fortress on the Great Wall. Wu was caught between two enemies, Li Zicheng, who had taken the capital, and the Manchus, a rising power from the northeast, who had been waiting for their moment. In a desperate gamble, Wu Sangui made a historic decision. He opened the gates of Shanhai Pass and allowed the Manchu-led Qing forces, under Prince Dorgan, to enter China. Li Zicheng's forces were defeated in battle, and the Qing dynasty was proclaimed in Beijing shortly afterward. The Qing would go on to rule China for nearly 3 centuries, until the fall of the imperial system in 1912. Wu Sangui's betrayal remains one of the most controversial decisions in Chinese history, a fateful move that traded one dynasty for another and reshaped the future of East Asia. These wars didn't just shape dynasties, they shaped all of China. And we're just getting started. In the next episodes, we'll dive into each battle, the strategy, the bloodshed, the legacy. Which war do you think changed everything? Let me know in the comments.